Hello, everybody. It's Damon yet again with another video, and this time I will do SummerSlam 2011. Sorry. And before this, as always, it's important to have a background of what happened in wrestling, background happened in entertainment, and what happened uh, in movies. I mean, that year featured, I think, CeeLo Green's "Forget You" song, well, One Hit Wonder. What else happened in 2011 in terms of music? Uh, I think there's a I work out team from LOL, and that just shows my lack of expertise for music. In terms of movies, White Green Lantern, which I feel gets a bad rap because it's still. I felt it was an okay movie. It's not my worst list. It's not on my best list. To me, it's the same category of Fantastic 4005. I'll watch it if it's on, but it's nowhere special and could have been so much better. I mean, Captain America First Avenger, I think right now is getting the opposite of being given a bad rap. It's been overrated because I watched it the few times I watched it, three times I've seen in my lifetime. I always thought it was a good but not great movie. It was the least good of the trilogy of Captain America. And I did say trilogy because Captain Falcon is another one. Like I didn't see a New World Order, Brave New World, and from my gather, it's just okay. But in terms of the Chris Evans, Steve Rogers trilogy, was the weakest effort of the bunch. What else? There were Thor. Thor I felt was very good. It was very Shakespearean. And people talk about Thor Ragnarok so much. I forget that the original Thor mixed in humor well. It just, in fact, I thought was the one that fit the best. The Thor movie that fit the mythos, basically the Thor universe better than any other movie since then. Thor Ragnarok was a good one, but I felt like it leaned a lot more into silly stuff, and it led to Thor Love and Thunder. What else? You had X-Men First Class, which I felt was a gutsy move because I thought they were going to reboot the entire franchise, but no, they only reboot some parts of it. Great James McAvoy as Professor X, Michael Fassbender as uh, Magneto. Just found out that maybe some news say that Adam Driver will be the new Magneto for the MCU, and for the MCU, Patrick Wilson will be the new Professor X, which is great casting. But I'm thinking at this point, can we not redo and recast all the time, please? Anyway, we had this in terms of movies. We had Cars 2, which was the weakest effort of Pixar at that time. We had the last Transformers, Dark of the Moon, which I felt was the second best Transformers movie, live action movies, which at the point was not saying that much because Revenge of the Fallen sucked. We had Bad Teacher, which was kind of a funny, underrated comedy with Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz. What else? I'm trying to see what else we had that year. We had Fast Five, which rebooted, kind of basically made Fast and Furious more of a bigger franchise than he was. And that's the time people coined Dwayne Johnson that franchise Viagra, which is kind of funny that 15 years later, Ryan George basically joked that The Rock has become the franchise Grim Reaper. So he's basically the Undertaker of the movie universes. What else? In terms of movie, I thought it was a year that sets up the other years. Because this is where you knew about The Dark Knight Rises. Oh, yeah, there were Sherlock Holmes. Oh, that was later that year, sorry. Sherlock Holmes 2. It was the year that sets up the next year more than anything in terms of movies, which I felt was coincidentally enough the same thing with 2011. I mean, WrestleMania 27, basically the transitional WrestleMania if there's ever been one. It sets up the following year's WrestleMania without, because it didn't fully commit to its own WrestleMania. Same thing for SummerSlam. It sets up some angles that were for later on that year rather than basically its own individual cards. For the dark match, Dolph Ziggler defend and retain against Alex Riley. Then you have Kofi versus and Ray and John Morrison versus Miz, R-Truth, and Alberto Del Rio. No title in the match and no title on the line. It was a fun six-man tag, but it was only six matches on the actual main show, and the faces won. Then you have Sheamus versus Mark Henry, a big man versus big man match, and then with a count out. You had for Divas title, Beth Phoenix defend against Kelly Kelly defend against Beth Phoenix. Kelly Kelly won with a roll up. For the World Heavyweight title, sorry, wasn't right there. We also had Daniel Bryan, who fresh off winning Money in the Bank, faces off against Wade Barrett. Barrett won for some reason. Then you had the World Heavyweight title, Falls Count Anywhere match. Christian defending against Randy Orton at Falls Count, in a No Holds Barred match. In which case, Edge renounced and denounced Christian, and it led to Christian losing the World Heavyweight title to Randy Orton. And you had basically the W title match, Cena versus Punk. And I always felt like to me it was a title win by Punk, but supposedly it never was. It always considered that the reign he had never ended, never terminated. So in that case, Punk could be a three-time W champion now, but I always felt like right now should be his fourth reign with his current reign right now. But it led to Del Rio cashing in and winning. So it kind of did the impact of the ending after a stupid Del Rio cash in. So when you have 6 matches, it's really tough to basically, it means every match needs to count and every match needs to mean something and be good. And it wasn't always the case. Now, I feel like tag titles were ignored, the IC title was ignored, US title was ignored. So if you won the world title and Divas title, everything else was ignored. And I would fix that. I would remedy to it. For instance, I would start off the night with the WWE IC titles. I would have Atunga, at the time was David Atunga, and Curtis Axel defending tag titles against Kofi and R-Truth. I don't have Kofi and R-Truth win the World Tag Team titles there. Then I would have Daniel Bryan versus Drew McIntyre. And since Drew McIntyre basically is not really well pushed, but still seen as upper card, I would have Daniel Bryan get a convincing win against Drew McIntyre because I'm tired of the trope of the Money in the Bank match winner keeping losing. So I would keep him strong. For the United States title, I will indeed have Dolph Ziggler defend the title. Again, but I would defend him against Alex Riley and John Morrison. And I would have Alex Riley actually win the US title. No, sorry. It would be Dolph Ziggler against John Morrison. John Morrison would once again win the US title there. And then for the Intercontinental title, you have Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio, a rematch from WrestleMania and from their subsequent feud, which seems to be Rey Mysterio won. You have the blow-off match there, and Cody Rhodes win the retains the IC title after like 13, 14 minutes. You have Sheamus as Mark Henry, and I kind of understand the finish with being counted. Because in this case, Sheamus just started his face turns, couldn't be pushed. Mark Henry was starting the Hall of Fame push, and I wanted to win the world title. None can afford to really lose. So I'd have Mark Henry. He defeats Sheamus by countout. Sheamus returns after the match, does a brogue kick to Mark Henry, who sells the outside, but falls back on. Basically, he's not knocked out. He's basically just staggered on his feet. So basically, Sheamus still won up at the end, Mark Henry, but Mark Henry wins the match. Then you have Miz versus Alex Riley. I would have basically Alex Riley get the better of the Miz at age 8 reportedly, but this would be the feud ender, and this is where Miz wins against Alex Riley. Riley can rebound from this by winning the US title, the September pay-per-view. Afterwards, what else did we got for the Divas Heavyweight title? The Divas title, you have Kelly against Beth Phoenix against Layla L against Eve Torres. And I would have Kelly retained by pinning Layla. Then we're soon embarking the main events, the main matches. Before there will be R-Truth, Evil R-Truth against Even Born, and I would have R-Truth win. Then for World Heavyweight title and WWE title, it'd be the same as in real life. Christian defending against Christian defending against Randy Orton, and Randy wins. But the way that Christian won, because he would have won the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. And maybe he would have lost it to Randy Orton, he regains it back and loses it again to Randy Orton. W title, you have, in this case, you would have CM Punk against John Cena, title for title. In this case, it's established that whoever wins and it's adds as a title win for them, and have Punk win and end the night as WWE champion. There will be no cash-in attempt by Del Rio, and if there would be a champion person who cashes it on, it sure as hell wouldn't be somebody would have won the Money in the Bank match for Raw. It sure as hell wouldn't be Del Rio. So that's how I would have ended SummerSlam 2011. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I'll catch you guys later for the edition of Rebooking SummerSlam 2012. See you guys.